Hi, it's Jackie, aka Hoodwinkler, and today's episode of the Self-Inquirer is about how to master being a jack of all trades. So, this is how I, as a jack of all trades, make money. This is how to manage multiple interests or hobbies that you might have, and my opinions on finding your purpose and how to do all of those things. I think I already introduced myself, but I'll do it again. If you don't know me, I'm Jackie. I'm a manifestation expert. It doesn't really apply to what I'm about to talk about, but it kind of does because manifestation is your living and breathing essence. It's what you're doing all the time. Everybody's manifesting, even if they don't believe in manifestation. Psych, you're doing it. So everything has to relate to manifestation. But we're not going to go into like pattern recognition right now. I'm just going to start the video and talk about how you can, yes, master all of your hobbies and balance everything and do all of these things that you want to do and find your purpose and differentiate between what should be your hobbies and what should be your career and just how I navigated all of that. And I'll give you some tips and wisdom for how you can navigate all of that. So there's this saying that we've all heard, especially if you are a jack of all trades, as in someone who has many interests or skills and hobbies. And it kind of makes us feel a little shitty and a little bad about being a jack of all trades. And that quote is, a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I used to hear that growing up all the time. My mom would say that about me. And she would be like, you're such a jack of all trades, but a jack of all trades is a master of none. And I was like, oh. Until I was looking up said quote later in life, and I realized that throughout history, the second half of that quote has been omitted. So the real quote is, a jack of all trades and a master of none is better than a master of one. And that's something that I want you to start believing right away if you are a jack of all trades, because this is a skill to your advantage. You have lots of desires and things that light you up because you love life and you're a passionate person and you find a lot of things interesting, and that is not a bad thing. So before I get into all of the tips and tricks of like what I've done to balance this, I'll just briefly talk about my backstory of being a jack of all trades so you can see that I know what you're going through. I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. I always had a bajillion interests, and I didn't know how to balance them as far as my time and my energy. And especially, I didn't know which one I wanted to pick to pursue for a life path. So really, if you're in that boat where you're saying, I have all of these hobbies and skills, but I don't know which one to pick, what you're really asking for, like, let's read between the lines here. What you're really saying is, I have lots of things I'm interested in and I don't know which one I want to make money from and support myself from most of the time. Unless you're in a position, which most of my clients and people from workshops that have said this to me, like, I don't know which one to pick, are not in a position where they grew up really wealthy and they just have all of these hobbies and they don't know which one to do with their free time. Like, what we're really talking about here is, I have so many things that I want to do and I have so many skills that I like to do. Which one should I pick to make money off of? So if you resonate with that, that's who should be watching this video. If you're just like, well, I mean, I'll also talk about managing time, even if you do have unlimited money to do all of these things. So to show you how many things I do, I made a list of all of the things that I do that I have learned how to balance and do all of them pretty consistently. So here we go. I knit. I love knitting sweaters and socks. I sew my own clothes. Just learning, but like super hyped about that. I do embroidery. I love to like decorate. I run a 6-figure business basically by myself. I have one assistant, soon to be 2 assistants, virtual, but like I run a 6-figure business basically alone. I run retreats in other countries. So I like put together manifestation retreats that people can go to and we all have an amazing time. I attend retreats myself. Like, I just came back from a circus retreat for a week where we all learned how to do circusy stuff. I cook all of my own food. I rarely eat out. I bake for fun. I go to the gym a couple times a week. I do sauna and cold plunge a couple times a week. I do ecstatic dance. I love ecstatic dance. I take ballet twice a week. I juggle. I love juggling. I play the violin. I play guitar. I sing. I run this podcast. I run 3 social media accounts in total. I have about 500,000 followers and I show up consistently on every single one of them. I hike and I camp. I make masks. I make puppets. I manage a team of virtual assistants. I plan all of my own finances, all of my own investments, and I manage all of my own money. I have, obviously, being a manifestation expert and coach, a very in-depth manifestation practice. So that looks like hypnotizing myself regularly, tapping in with journaling practices, tapping in with the 9 keys that I talk about like all the time throughout my channel. And that's what I teach in the Co-Creation Clubhouse and with my one-on-one clients. It's like 9 steps to manifestation. So I tap in with those 9 keys throughout the week. I love to travel. So I spend at least a month per year, at very least a month per year abroad traveling. I hula hoop, go to music festivals, I go to women's circles, and I read, and I do tons of other shit too. Oh, I also do artist dates once a week from the Artist Way. I do 15 minutes of stream of consciousness writing every morning, and I meditate every morning. So you may be thinking, wow, that sounds like me, and I don't know how to manage any of this. Or you may be thinking, wow, like you're crazy and you have so much shit to do. And you're kind of right. So here are my tips on how to manage a list of hobbies that's that extensive, or things that you have to do that's that extensive, effectively and efficiently, and still get things done that you need to get done and also enjoy your life. So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to section off a good chunk of your list of things that you do into hobbies, and then like one of those things into career. I am not trying to pursue every one of my hobbies and monetize it. And you don't need to either. You don't need to monetize every single one of your fucking hobbies. The reason that we think we need to monetize everything is because of the structure of society that we live in. It puts a lot of emphasis on making money, especially if you're like in America, because that's kind of what we're like built on culturally, is this enterprising attitude. So if you have things that you like to do, you don't need to think about all of the ways in which you're going to make money from it. I'm going to explain how I picked which hobby ended up being my career and what I recommend to my clients in just a minute. But first, I'm going to explain the difference between a hobby and your career. Okay. Hobbies are things that you like doing that bring you joy that you might not necessarily want to pursue as a career. For example, I love juggling. So fun. However, would I want to be in a traveling circus as a juggler? Not really. That's not like the lifestyle that I'm looking for. Would I want to be a juggling performer full time? No. I don't know. It's just like I don't like being on stage that much. Loud music, not my vibe. And sometimes you need to sort of pursue some hobbies for money, sometimes to figure out that that's not what you want to do for money. So that happened with me because growing up, I was always like, I want to be an artist or I want to be a musician. And then when I actually spent a lot of time around musicians, because I dated 2 full-time musicians and my cousin is also a full-time musician, like famous vibes, I very quickly was just like, oh, that's not the lifestyle that I would want to live. Like, I don't like staying up late. I wouldn't really want to play shows that way. I wouldn't like fare well on tour. And then I tried making art for a living. I was definitely getting like attention in that scene of art. And it wasn't really enough money to support myself full time. But I was making money on it, and I could see how if I stuck with that, it would grow into a full-time position. And very quickly, while I was doing that, I realized that I was not interested in making money from art. I didn't like being forced into creating every day. I didn't like to feel like my art was on a schedule. I hated doing commission. So really quickly, I was like, art, not what I want to do. I should pursue something else, which was great and freeing because it's not like, oh my God, my life is over. because I can't be an artist, it was like, now I can just have that as a hobby and do it when I want to do it. You're allowed to do things without making money from them. You're allowed to do things for fun. We'll get into this in a moment. Hobbies, what you love doing, brings you joy. You might not necessarily like the lifestyle around making money off of that. Now, for career, the way that I look at career is that I see, like, my career is going to be something that I see a lot of financial success in doing for the least amount of work. I am passionate about this thing. I am good, like I am actually skilled at and good at doing this thing. And I spend most of my free time, or a lot of my free time, doing this thing anyways for free. So instead of basically trying to pick a hobby to support your life with, pick a career that supports your hobbies, okay? Like, not the other, like, it's not the other way around. Structure your life to support your hobbies. Don't structure your hobbies to support your life. So what that looks like is you're going to need to start asking yourself, how can you maximize your time and your money so that you have the time to focus on the hobbies that you actually like doing? You can, like, I have a career that I'm really fucking passionate about, and I also understand that it is a job. It is not a hobby. This is something that I show up to every single day, 9 to 5. I'm in it whether I really like it this day or I really fucking hate it the next day. And I structure my career in such a way, and I picked something that, again, I'm good at. I can see myself being in it long term. I can see myself making the most amount of money for doing the least amount of work. And I spend most of my time talking about this thing and doing this thing anyways for free. And I structure my career so that I have time and energy to support doing all of my hobbies. That's what you need to do. So after you get done watching this video, ask yourself, how can you make more for putting in less hours of your time towards your career? Like, how can you support yourself, usually, again, financially? Or what can you pick, or how can you structure what you've picked to basically be as passive as possible so that you can spend more time doing the things that you actually like, because your hobbies are supposed to just be hobbies. They're supposed to, it's like things that you do for fun, not for money, or not to be an expert at them. So that's all well and good, but how do you pick which of those things is actually going to be that career? So how I picked manifestation as my career was not me like sitting down and looking at a list of all of my hobbies and being like, this is the one that I'm going to do. It was me asking myself the following questions. So this is what you should ask yourself. What do you resent not getting paid for that you're already doing? Like, do you have moments in your life where you're thinking, damn, I should be getting paid for this? That is a really clear indicator that if not that exact thing, but that, like, the general theme of that thing should be what you're moving towards. So for me, that was me being kind of codependent and giving people advice that was really unsolicited, and then getting pissed when they didn't do my advice. like basically I was just always coaching people and counseling people and giving people advice, and that was my whole life, and showing up for them. And once I like healed my root need to like fix people, I was like, damn, I do this all the day, every day. I should just be getting paid for this. Okay, the next question that you'll ask yourself is just, what are you good at? What do other people tell you that you're good at? And what traits or skills do you get complimented on the most? So again, for me, that was people telling me, you give really good advice. You explain things really well. You're very eloquent. So I looked at those themes and I was like, wow, I might make a good coach, psychotherapist. I like to gab and talk, so I might make a good podcast host or a teacher, something like that. I was looking at the themes of what I'm doing already and not getting paid for, and what people are telling me, wow, you're so good at this, you should get paid for this, and putting them towards like a vibe of that career that I thought would be really good for me. But the most important question the most important question when it comes to what career should you pick is what type of lifestyle would you like to lead ideally? And what types of career, or how can you structure that career so that it supports the lifestyle that you want to live? So for me, when I think of my ideal lifestyle, I'm like, I like to travel. I like to have a flexible schedule. If I'm getting really honest with myself, like I am neurodivergent and I'm fucking tired a lot of the time and I get overwhelmed really easily, and I don't feel like working 40 hours a week is the vibe for me for the next 20 years. Granted, in order to build the business to the point where I don't have to do that, yeah, I put 14-hour days in for 2 years. Totally worth it, because now I just basically don't do shit and I make a ton of money. But like, how can you structure your lifestyle and like pick a career that supports that lifestyle that you're looking for, instead of being like, oh, what career should I pick because like it'll make me money, or like I'll like doing it. So if you are someone who loves traveling and you love being on the go, what types of jobs or careers that relate to your hobbies, or how can you structure those hobbies to be on the go all the time? Would that look like going on tour? Would it look like finding a 9-to-5 that flies you out everywhere all the time? If you kind of have a homesteading vibe in mind, like how can you take one of those hobbies and work from home and have enough time to go homestead out back in your garden and be with your kids? Like, figure out what lifestyle you want and how you can find a career that fits that lifestyle. And you can look at your list of hobbies and be like, okay, which of those hobbies would give me the best lifestyle for that? So for example, if I don't want to work a lot, I'm not going to invest in a career where I am hand knitting sweaters. Even though that's something I really love to do, that shit takes forever, right? And I'm never going to have the free time to like do what I want to do because I'm knitting all day, because I have 500 orders coming in. And that's that. I can't really travel either, because like I'm going to have to lug a bunch of yarn everywhere all over the world. So it's like looking at your hobbies and being like, okay, which one of these does not support the lifestyle that I'm wanting to live, and which one of them might? And how can I take those ones and structure them to support that lifestyle? And that's what you pick, and that's what you create your career out of. And again, checking in with yourself. What are you good at? What do you get complimented on all the time? That's a good way to pick your career. Once you do that, pick it, stick with it until you make $1,000 or equivalent. If you're watching this in the future, take inflation into consideration. Stick with it until you make $1,000 US. Do whatever it takes. You blow up the Instagram page. You do the thing. You are soapboxing on the street corner. You're putting up flyers. Stick with it until you make $1,000. And if you don't like it, you can just change it. No big deal. Just $1,000. Just change it. You are never stuck in a life path that you don't want to be on. You can always pivot. You can always change it. The next thing that I do to support being a jack of all trades is I multitask. And this is something that helps me get shit done, but it is something I am trying to move away from because I don't think it's really good for your attention span. But the main way that I multitask, and I think this is fine, is I read books on tape. I love reading. I love stories. However, it is hard for me to sit down and read a book. Maybe that's because of the like TikTok brain rot, ADHD mind. And for a long time, I had this weird purist mindset about audiobooks where I was like, that's not real reading. But if I want to be an avid reader, I'm going to have to fit my avid reading in a way that actually works for me. So you need to think of like, how can you combine these things combine like two of these hobbies into one. So for me, I spend an enormous amount of time listening to audiobooks and knitting, a match made in heaven, by the way, or sewing or embroidery. So multitasking is another good way that you can actually get like all of these hobbies in your schedule, time and energy wise. Now, this next thing sometimes triggers people because it's a little bit about money, but not always if you're creative. But I delegate. So I basically list out everything, and this is one of the biggest keys of manifestation, by the way. I list out everything in my life that is draining my energy that I hate doing, specifically tasks. What am I doing in my work that I hate doing? What am I doing in my house that I hate doing? How am I dressing that I hate dressing? How am I spending my time that feels like, oh, I fucking hate this and this is a waste of my time? You write down all of those things and then you figure out how you can hand them off to someone who actually wants to do them. Money is really helpful for this part. However, you don't need money to delegate. You can also just spend your time community building and ask your community. This could literally be your neighbors. You have to go outside and talk to people. You have to make friends. You have to ask for help. Sorry. Or you could just pay someone to do it if you don't want to do all that stuff. With delegation, you have to remember that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with other people. Extremely important quote. So in order to make more time and energy, to like give me more time and energy for the hobbies that I actually want to be doing that light me up and bring me joy, and less of the stuff that feels like an energy or time drain, I delegate in my everyday life. I delegate hella in my business. Like that's why I hire people, is for them to help me, and I pay them to do that, obviously. But I also ask for help delegating things in my everyday life. So I ask my boyfriend for help when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I ask him to help me clean my house, do my dishes. I don't demand, really important. I ask. I ask my friends or my community for help when I feel overwhelmed. And when my community is overwhelmed, I show up to help them. So like when I have a friend who is a new mom and she's struggling and she wants to take a shower, but her baby is crying and she's like, I just need to take a shower, but I can't bring the baby. Like, I'm like, here, let me come over. I'll take care of your baby. Because I know that that's how a community functions. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like, you help me, I help you. Like when my neighbor who lives up on the hill is sick, I go bring them food. And when I am sick, they bring me food. So it's basically like developing relationships so that you can ask for help for free. And they can help you when you're feeling overwhelmed and you need help and you want to spend more time doing what you want to do. Now, I also have virtual assistants. These help with my personal life and also my business. I was so resistant to investing in a VA. I was like, first of all, who am I? The fucking Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada? Like, I don't need an assistant, you know? And I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to pay them. And like, where am I going to get that kind of money? And is it worth the investment? And like, will I even have enough to hand off to them? But the amount of money that you invest in an assistant or a helper or a virtual assistant to do things that you hate doing, like booking doctor's appointments and booking this and booking that and helping you send emails and helping you manage your files or whatever that is, the amount of money that you invest in them helping you and doing the things that make your life suck is worth it, okay? If you're broke and you're like, oh, I don't have that kind of money, but you're buying every single skincare thing that you see on TikTok Shop and clothes that you love for about 0.5 seconds when you get that dopamine hit, and you're like, oh, but I don't have enough money to invest in someone to actually make my life better in a way that's actually fulfilling, maybe cut back on some of the junk. This is like partially for me. Maybe cut back on some of the junk that you're spending your money on and invest it in something that's actually going to consistently make your life better. How about that? Your investment is always returned, or this has been my experience. When I invest in an assistant or a helper like this, even if I'm scared to make the investment, it is always returned because it makes my life exponentially better. It gives you time to do the things you like to do. It gives you time to focus on making more money instead of doing things that don't make you money. And lastly, one of the biggest lies ever that you've ever been told, and this is just dipping our toes in money manifestation, is that you need to work harder to make more money. That is an employee cog in the machine type of mindset. The more hours you work, the more money you make. Rich people don't value money, you guys. They value time. They value their time. The richest people in the world are not working their asses off hourly. They are relaxing on yachts and they like are breathing and making money. The people who are not making money are working the absolute hardest. Teachers, doctors, coal miners, fucking construction workers. Like, that is basically a lie. So if you want to generate a lot more abundance, investing in something that gives you back the abundance of your time is one of the best ways to supercharge actually attracting a lot more abundance into your life. But side note. Okay, other ways that I delegate in my everyday life to give me time to do hobbies are I never do my laundry. I always do wash and fold services. It's like $35 every 2 weeks. And I just give all of my laundry to somebody else and it arrives beautifully folded. It's amazing. I have a house cleaner. Like, I don't deep clean my house. Every night I try to like pick up after myself so my house looks nice, but I don't clean my bathrooms. I don't do any of that. I have a small house, but I pay about $100 every 2 weeks. It's totally worth it because those 6 hours that I would spend cleaning my house, I can actually spend making more money in other ways or just enjoying my life. I don't cut my own hair. Like, I'll just get like a little trim from somebody because that takes time. I don't do my own nails. I usually get them done, but clearly it's been a while. I also set boundaries with people that take up a lot of my time in a way that's not super fulfilling. So the minute that you start to feel like you are being drained in certain relationships and it's not giving back to you, I'm not advising to like cut them off, but immediately see if you can restructure that relationship or how much time and energy you're putting towards it so that it actually is fulfilling. And if that person is not able to like make it more fulfilling for you, that's when you actually start to like set boundaries or pivot or spend less time there. Also, another way that I free up more space, this is very energetic, but I clear out clutter a lot. Like, probably once a month I go through most of the things that I own and I just throw into the donation bin. Don't want this. It's not serving me anymore. So not only am I taking stock of like what things in my life feel cluttered and sort of tasks, but I also take stock of my habits and my ways of being. So like, what habits do I have that are sucking up a lot of my time that I could be putting towards the hobbies that I actually enjoy or building that career that I actually enjoy? Scrolling, huge one for most of us. Like 7 hours of screen time, 7 hours that you could be making art. Insane. 7 hours that you could be putting towards your career and building wealth for the future to support an amazing life where you can do your hobbies all the time. Crazy. Cut that shit out. Get Opal. It's amazing. It blocks your apps and you can't unblock it. Another one would be like, if I have a habit or like a structure of the way that I'm working that's not serving me, just take stock of that. If I'm feeling really drained in the way that I'm showing up to make this podcast or to post on TikTok or to manage my business, I figure out a different structure. So for example, I used to do like all of my self-reflection and learning in the morning, and then I would have meetings, and then I would make content at night. But by the time that nighttime rolled around, I was exhausted. I didn't want to make content. So I switched that around now from like I wake up at 6. So from 6 to 8, I have self-reflection. From 8 to 12, I make content. From 12 to 5, I have meetings. From 5 to 9, I learn and I relax and I make art. So that's a different way I structured my time that felt a lot better. And lastly, is this lastly? Yeah, lastly, you guys, I don't do every single thing on my list consistently except for my career. So I go months without knitting. I go months without going to ballet. I go months without juggling. What I do is I have my list of things I'm passionate about, and I tap in with what I am passionate about in the moment. You can have your list of all of your hobbies and interests, and whenever you feel like you want to interact with one of your hobbies, just pick whichever one feels good that day. You do not need to be an expert in your hobbies. Experts are for people who make that their whole life path, their whole career. Like, if you just enjoy doing something, you are allowed to just enjoy doing it. I feel like that's it. Bye. No, but actually, lastly, if you guys, wow, what do I even say? I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching. I hope that this helps you structure hobbies and also figure out the difference between life path, career, and hobbies and making money and all of that jazz. Like I consistently tap in with all of these things, but I'm not doing all of these things every single day. I go through phases. So I'll do like 2 months of meditation and then I won't really meditate for a month. And then I'll do 2 months of ballet and then I just don't really do that consistently anymore. And now all of a sudden I'm juggling. It's basically like I'm back on the last point, but it's basically like just swap your hobbies to what feels good because the goal is not expertise. The goal is having fun. So yeah, if you liked this and you want to learn more, and you like the way that I teach or the way that I give advice and you want to learn how to manifest your absolute dream life, because that's what I do and that's what I live, thank God, thank goodness, you can go to my website and you can waitlist for the Co-Creation Clubhouse. That is a very inexpensive, extremely in-depth program that will teach you exactly how to manifest. You're never going to need to read another book. You're never going to need to, on manifestation, you should be reading. You're never going to need to watch another TikTok. You're never going to need to do another affirmation. We don't do those in the Clubhouse. And it's extremely transformational work. It got me from being a crazy drug addict to living literally a life that I could never even imagine and making 6 figures and having a great partner and great life. And yeah. So that seems like the end. Have a good one, you guys.